Good morning, boys and girls. It's Mr. Befford again, here to start our new movie with us, Despicable Me. This is one of my favorite movies because it has one of my favorite characters in it, and that is these little minions. Today, we are going to be making a little minion head out of a paper plate, and so you can see here that that's one of our supplies. You can see that I have some yellow paint out as some supply. If you don't have yellow paint, please do not think you're not able to do this craft. You can also use some yellow colored pencils. You could use yellow markers. You could use yellow construction paper. There are many different things that you can use instead if you don't have this yellow paint. But I did happen to find some yellow paint, and so I'm going to use the paint. And so I'll show the craft a little bit with that. And I'll show you what it could look like if you use the colored pencils or markers as well. Some of the other things that you'll need if you're doing the paint, you'll need a paintbrush. You're going to need some scissors, regardless of how you do it. And then we're going to need some black, white, and gray paper. Again, if you don't have those colors, maybe you could just use gray or white paper and color it black or color it gray. And then we'll need some glue as well. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and get started. I'm going to show us this. So this paper plate, Mrs. Befford has taught us that we should usually have some sort of a paper plate to help us or to organize our paint, but our paper plate is actually going to be what we are doing. One thing that Mrs. Befford also has always taught us is that we should always have paper down, or newspaper down, so we don't get any paint on our table. And I forgot to do that, so I'm gonna run and grab that quick. If you have not done that, or you still need some time to gather the materials, this would be a good time for you to do that. And I'll be right back with a more suitable workstation. All right, I got my newspaper down and I'm ready to go. So I'm gonna take some yellow paint, and I'm going to just pour some on my paint because I'm going to cover the whole thing in paint when we're all said and done here. So we'll go like that. I might need more, I don't know yet, but I'll start with this. I'm going to take my paintbrush. I'm just going to paint all around here and get all of my paper plate yellow here. And again, if you are somebody that doesn't have paint at home, that is completely okay. What you could be doing right now is coloring your paper plate yellow. You could be coloring it with a marker. You could be coloring it with a colored pencil, as I have up here in the video. Or you could also use, if you have yellow construction paper, you could cover this paper plate with yellow construction paper. All right, so, oops, get my fingers a little bit. And I've already gotten some on this newspaper, so it's really good that I remembered what Mrs. Befford always says. Make sure that we have paint down to protect, or not paint, newspaper down when we are painting to protect the surface that we are painting on. Okay, so there's my yellow paper plate. That's our first step. Now the next steps will be making this minion our own. And so I'm going to go ahead and pause this video as I'm going to need to give my plate some time to dry, as many of you will need to do as well. So I will be back when my paint is dry. And if you're still coloring or painting, please pause this video, and so you'll be able to catch up. There we go. All right, boys and girls, I am back. I also did another paper plate. I colored one this time just so students that don't have paint can see what it could look like if we used something else like colored pencil. And so remember what we said is so we are going to be making a minion head. And so something that we know about the minion heads is that the minions, they have goggles on, right? And so we're gonna work on that next. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my black piece of paper, or if I am choosing to do, or if I only have white paper, then I'll color it black and then cut it out. But I'm gonna just cut out a strip just all the way across, just like this. And this will be like the band for the Minion goggles. Okay, I'm gonna cut one just like that, put that off to the side because I'll maybe be able to reuse it again. And that's just gonna go right across here, but I'm gonna cut off some of the extra, right? And so I'm gonna go around the plate just like this, and it matches right there. And you might have to have an adult help you with this. That is just fine. But we're gonna have a band just like this. And this is gonna be the Minions goggles. So now, I'm gonna put those to the side. We are going to cut out the eye pieces. And so something that would help me out is if I drew a circle first for the eyepiece. Okay, and so what I'm gonna do is I'm just going to draw a circle for the eyepiece, just like that. And now one thing, if we remember from the movie, or if we haven't seen the movie before, one thing that we know is that sometimes the Minions have two eye holes, right? Sometimes they have one, sometimes they have two. So I'm gonna make one that has two eye holes instead, or two eye holes as well. And so I'll show you what that will look like right in just a moment. All right, boys and girls, so I have a circle drawn for a Minion with one eye, and then two circles drawn for a Minion that has two eyes. This is the part in the activity, the craft, that you have some options on what you want your Minion to look like. So this is where Mrs. Befford and I get most excited to see what you guys come up with. And so I'm gonna cut these out right along the line that I drew to show what we are going to do with these. Remember, these are the eye pieces, so they're not the actual eyeballs quite yet. Oops. And so I'll show you what the eyeballs will look like in a second. But so at this point in time, you could be making your decision on if you want your Minion to have one eyeball or two eyeballs, and then you can start tracing a circle or two circles on a piece of paper, and then have an adult help you cut these out. So there's, if I choose to do two, or if I choose to do one. So now I said that these are the eye pieces, and so we're gonna need to draw the eyeballs next. And so something that we know to be true is eyeballs are white, right? And that's true for the Minions as well. And so that's why we have the white piece of paper. And so what I'm gonna do next is I'm going to, now that I have my eye pieces, before I do anything with the eye pieces, I'm gonna just set this aside because I could use it again. The eyeballs are going to go on the inside of these eye pieces. And so now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna draw another circle, but my circle needs to be smaller than the eyepiece, right? Because this is the eyeball. If the eyeball was bigger than the eyepiece, then the Minion's eyeballs wouldn't be able to fit in its goggles. And so now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna trace this circle so I know how big the eyepiece is, and so I can draw a smaller circle within it. So I'm gonna go like that. And it's okay if I draw a little bit on this gray sheet of paper, because I can always just flip it over and use the other clean side as well. Okay, so I'm gonna trace both of these. just like that. And then I'll know how big my eyeballs can be. So just like that. So if I'm gonna set these aside for right now. So if I choose to do 2 or 1, that's up to me. And now I'm gonna draw a smaller circle on the inside of this, just like that. And then I'll draw smaller two smaller circles on the inside of this one for the minion that has 2 eyeballs. And then I'll draw it over here, just like this. Again, students, please, if you feel as though this video is going too fast, there's too many steps going on at one time, please pause the video and give yourself some time to catch up. And then when you're all caught up, restart the video when you're ready. And so what I'm going to do actually is I'm going to give a little break right now, because what I'm going to do, I'm going to cut out the circles that I just made. Now remember, I'm cutting out the inside circle. That's what I want to cut out. So I'm going to pause the video and I'll show you what it looks like when I get back.